Hey folks, it's Dave Isaacs here. Had a couple of challenges getting this started this morning, but I think we got it. I have been doing these lives because honestly, it's been a quicker and efficient way to be able to get something posted pretty much weekly. I think I missed something last week, but I've got some solo guitar music that I put up. You might have noticed that I'm really concentrating on this solo guitar stuff lately, and I felt like today I needed to do a change. So I've been working with a lot of my students on not just finger style in the plucking sense, but just the ability to work without a pick. And one person that we've been talking about quite a bit and looking at this sort of style is James Taylor. And I mention him because he's a great finger stylist. He tends to vary things a lot. He doesn't really play songs the same way twice, but he does particular definitive things that are not all that hard to learn. They're a big part of his style and things that you can incorporate pretty easily. So I want to look at the song Sweet Baby James, which he plays mostly with a thumb bass and a finger brush. It's essentially a bass strum sort of thing. But what I want to point out is the way that he articulates a bass line, even played very simply. And then the chord itself is sometimes articulated with a pluck, sometimes articulated with a brush. And I'm using the word brush to mean a strum with the outside, the nail side of the finger, which gives you a nice little bit of percussion because the nail has a harder surface than the pad of the finger. So it gives you a little bit of the effect of a pick. It gives it some definition. I'm using a thumb pick because this is how I have become happiest with this sort of thing. I like the definition from the thumb. I like that using a thumb pick tends to make you use your entire thumb and work from the base of the thumb, which is really the most efficient way to work, gives you more sound and better sound. So notice my hand position is just a light thumb stroke, and I'm using, if I weren't using the thumb pick, it would be the pad at the edge of my thumb. I'm not using a nail. I don't really need it, not on the steel string. And then the brush is extending the finger slightly. So there is an arm strum component, but there is also an extending the finger component. If we do this, this is silly. It's not this either. It's somewhere between. So if we're doing a bass chord, I'm holding a G chord. Notice how light that is. I'm barely moving, I'm barely touching, and just letting that hand bounce. And the nice thing about this hand position, if I want to pluck, all I do is bring my hand up a little further so I'm over the strings and strike the chord together. So it's so cool what he does here. The chord progression is just a G walking down an F sharp. And he does this walking bass kind of figure a lot. Just hitting that bass note with the thumb on beat 3 in this case of our waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1. This is an E minor 7, and I am playing it, and I'm not swearing to what he does, but like I said, he changes it a lot. I've got my index finger on the D string. I'm using the tip of my finger to block the A string, and I am plucking, or strumming rather, string 6, brush, brush, and then the same form with a string 5 bass is an A7 suspended, which is something else that Taylor did a lot, right? Here's your intro to Sweet Baby James. Sorry about the glare on the guitar. Here's the intro to Carolina in my mind. Same descending bass, same figure of E minor 7, A7 suspended. But let's stay with the song. So, Sweet Baby James. Notice the use of the thumb, and basically we're just going to do bass chord, except for the places where there's a filler bass note. And actually in this song, every time it's on the G. We have either the passing Or if we're going from G to somewhere else, he hits this fifth string bass note of the G, which he also uses in Carolina in my mind. In this case, it's, and sometimes hammered. Which is a nice sound. And then we can add in a little bit of an upbrush. So watch this. Little strum there. And notice the bass line. Tends to strum more on the F sharp minor. Here's the lick on G again. F sharp minor. Actually, sorry, there should have been a. And then this lick on A is something Taylor does all the time. Now I'm playing an A chord with middle ring pinky just because that's what feels best. For my hand, many of you might do index middle ring. He does middle ring index, and you hear him doing this hammer on the second string all the time. It's an awful lot of songs. This fingering, to me, is completely Martian. It makes a lot of sense for a strong hammer on, but you can certainly do it with ring or pinky. And so what I'm suggesting the lick here is, and I'm not swearing to this being exactly right, but if we're going on Waiting for Summer His Pastors to Change, A, E minor, and then I'm just plucking first the thumb alone, 4 notes, thumb plus 3 fingers, lift the second string note, hammer on. And you hear this kind of right, Fire and Rain also. So this is all over his stuff. There's hammer-ons on an A chord from the open B string to the second fret of the B string, which is a 2-3 suspension. A sus 2 to A, and then very similar kind of thing on a D. That one's a bit more involved, and here, I don't believe he plays a full A chord in Fire and Rain. I think he's playing 2 notes here on the third and second strings, and then that frees things up. Sweet Baby James is a good place to start because it's more straightforward. So I'm going to play through this again. And again, I am not swearing to every single detail of what he plays. The main thing is the fundamentals of the style. The combination of the brush and pluck, the thumb bass separated with occasional bass lines within the chord, nothing fancy, and hammer-on licks. So, and that was that E minor 7, no A string, 6th string, and then 4 at the second fret, open 3, 2 at the third fret, 1 at the third fret. That chord with an E bass is E minor 7, with an A bass is A7 suspended, and you hear that throughout James Taylor as well. Minor with a strum, B minor, G, lick, F sharp minor, B minor, G has the same lick, lick. That takes us up to the chorus, and again, not swearing to the exact lick, but the point is the style, which makes it sound authentic. Chorus, D. So again, fundamentals of the style, thumb, brush, learning how to get this very light and transparent sound with the tip of the finger, where you have a little more definition when you come out this way because of the fingernail, and a little softer sound when you come in because of the pad. Thumb. You see how easy it is to go back and forth between plucking and strumming. And I'm convinced, thinking about it now, and this is relatively new for me. I would say the last couple of years is when I've really been doing more finger style on not just the nylon string guitar, but also the seal string, also the electric, and doing more just general playing with my fingers. And I'm really now convinced that there's not really a fundamental difference between picking and pick style hand position, because this rotation aspect of the hand is still there. Even when I pluck, I mean, I can just do this, obviously, but it doesn't sound nearly as good. Hear how restricted that is compared to that speaks. That little bit of this really makes it ring. And then I have both. Somebody else who does this kind of thing well is Willie Nelson. And I'll do a whole lesson on this one eventually too. Right? There's that same thumb bass. It's really so fundamental because it's just a cowboy bass strum. But on the other hand, there is so much subtlety involved in this, or rather, there's so much subtlety you can bring out of it when you really learn how to work that finger brush. So, less detailed lesson than I do sometimes. Obviously, you can see I've got my head deep in this Preludes project, which I hope y'all have been following and enjoying. And I will say, these things are fun to play, and they're not terribly difficult, but they're not easy either. And they're a fantastic fingerstyle workout. I've been enjoying these a lot. Sam, I like that question about the thumb picks because truthfully, I tried a lot. And the ones I've come to favor are the Kelly Slick Pick. And these are the Delrin. They make them in a couple of, I think it's Poly or Delrin. These are the Delrin. And I like these a lot because the shank is just a little bit shorter. I have this Black Mountain pick, which is really a great sound. Sound, but look at how long that shank is, and so these are just easier to control And I also find that the rounded tip is a little softer in tone. I will say this, the single biggest thing I had to adjust to in using a thumb pick was learning to wear it further down the thumb. But what that does, if you think about it mechanically, is it puts the pick at the strongest part of your thumb, which is here, not here. Coming from the classical, I was always aiming for this corner, but you see what my thumbnail looks like. I can't grow this out to save my life. So I gave up, and now I just use the bare fingers, including the bare thumb. I figured if it works for Tommy Emmanuel, it'll work for me. And then the thumb pick has a way of positioning the hand in this way that gives me room. So getting back to what I was saying about the relationship between a pluck and a strum, my hand is starting in the same position, and I can do either with equal ease. Plus, I can bring this in if I want to pick. But I will say this, that using a thumb pick and then bringing, or even no pick at all, and bringing this finger to the edge of it as if you were holding a pick, basically is pointless. You might as well be holding a flat pick. It'll sound better. But this really was a big step for my fingerstyle playing. But I will say it took about 2-3 years to get to the point where I really felt like, okay, I'm comfortable with this. I'm comfortable with it now. So yeah, I'll give a full ringing endorsement to the Kelly Slick picks. Excuse me. So yeah, a little bit of more of an informal lesson today, but I hope you appreciate it. I put a link to a chord chart for Sweet Baby James. You really should not need a tab for this. And truthfully, trying to read chords in tab is just, if it doesn't confound your brain, I'm impressed, because I find it a whole lot easier to just think chord symbol, and then maybe you're noticing which strings are being struck. But I figured we could get by with the chord chart. And besides, you should be able to learn a song from a chord chart. If you are not doing that, start. If you don't know how to do that, pull up the chord chart from wherever and then watch some videos, do some research. When I learn a song, I call it forensic research. I am pulling as much information as I can from as many different sources as possible. That means chord charts, tabs, videos, artist performances, just so I can zero in on what's going on. If you just want to learn a basic song like your campfire fundamental version, sit down with the chord chart. Just see where your ears take you. It's a really good skill to have. And you can always go back and plug in the licks once you have those fundamentals in place. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me on these lives and continuing to watch the videos. And this channel is closing in on 25,000 subscribers, which is freaking exciting. So share this. If you like the work I do, please share the videos and let people know that you think this is good stuff, because I do, and I'm glad you agree. I'll see you next time.